Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatica. Welcome once again to the Millcreek Government Channel. It's Channel 9, and joining me today, a gentleman representing an organization that goes way back, and you all know what it is. It is called Scott Graff. You are representing what?
The March of Dimes.
The March of Dimes. And we're going to get a close-up of the pin that he's wearing on his lapel of his sport coat. And it says, for now, 39 plus. Now that, of course, would be not your age.
Correct,
because
yes.
You're about 34, maybe plus.
Well, I wish I was that young.
Scott, what does the number 39 plus have to do with the March of Dimes?
It's our 39 plus weeks campaign. Mm-hmm. What's really happened over the last few decades is convenience schedulings of inducing births. So, for whatever reason.
Right. Why is that? Yeah. Why is that?
I'll give you some reasons. Actually,
Okay.
one is personal. Our son. We kept him in the womb until about 37 weeks. Our doctor was going on vacation for 2 weeks, and my wife wanted her to deliver the baby.
Okay.
So we induced at 37
Okay.
instead of waiting for the 39, 40 weeks.
Right.
Other people, same situations. They may be tired of being pregnant, the heat of the summer. Everyone is under that impression that 9 months is 36, 37 weeks.
Sure.
9
So
times 4.
Right.
Everyone forgets that half week every month really gets it up to 39 and 40
Okay.
weeks.
So even 40 is better.
40 is the ideal.
40 is
That's
the
why I say
ideal.
39 plus.
We're going back to 1938. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, founded this to defeat polio.
Correct.
I remember in my youth that you used to put dimes in a little folded cardboard device
Yes.
to help with the March of Dimes. And the Salk vaccine coming out.
Correct.
In, was it the early 60s?
Yeah, it was late 50s, early 60s.
Early 60s, yes. And of course I vividly remember that because I remember so much the young people who were in the iron lungs, as they called them, you know, these horrible machines that, and really there's a good point that you have in your notes that you shared with me is that this is an illness that actually, well, you'd say it.
It's been eradicated. We're the only nonprofit we're aware of that has eradicated the disease they've set out to beat. Mm-hmm. And then we turned our attention to having healthy babies.
Healthy babies. Has it been polio we're talking about?
Yes, polio is the one
Has it been eradicated, though, throughout the world? I hear that in some countries it is not, and that when people come to this country, they're very careful about, you know, making sure they are not prone to that disease and then having it all start up again here. But we pretty much in this country, you can say it is eradicated?
It's eradicated.
Okay.
I wish I could answer the whole world question. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, but if they're using the vaccine,
Yes.
it's eradicated.
It's eradicated.
So that's
a great
question.
statement, is that I love that the fact that the only nonprofit to eradicate the illness they actually set out to defeat.
Correct.
And you are going to be celebrating 75 years next year, the year 2013.
Correct.
This is, again, the 39 plus has to do with the fact that your pregnancy should go at least 39 plus 40 weeks even.
Correct.
And you say, well, gee, we're only talking 3, 4, 5 days there. But I get the impression that those 3 or 4 or 5 days mean a lot,
Right.
especially that third trimester as you go to the end.
Right.
A lot of development going on.
Correct.
That's a 5-year question.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Well, though, it's great because the research we fund has found out is that the baby's brain at 35 weeks is only 2/3 the size of what will be at 39 and 40 weeks.
Wow.
There's a lot of development that takes place in those last 5 weeks of birth. And you're really giving your baby a better chance at a healthier start if they make it to 39 and 40 weeks. And mothers, till now, weren't aware of this. This is new information that we're bringing to light
Right.
and getting out with this campaign. So we actually have a poster here, which we probably won't see on TV, but
Well, we'll share it.
Share it
We'll
later,
get a shot of it and show the viewers about where the money goes when you contribute to the March of Dimes, correct?
correct. And,
Right.
and this shows us at 39 weeks is all the areas of the body that can be impacted by going full term. The lungs, the eyes, the brain, all of the internal organs. This is the heart. Making it to 39 and 40 weeks really cuts down on respiratory distress. The brain becomes fully developed. There's actually babies learn to suck and swallow at that last part. So some babies have
Okay.
trouble eating or sucking and swallowing if they're born too early.
Right.
I could go on and on, but there's so many things.
There's so many things that come into play here. One of them is like newborn screenings in Pennsylvania. There are right now 29 core treatable conditions which are recommended by the American College of Medical Genetics and endorsed by the people at the March of Diamond. I understand there's a movement afoot to bump that 29 up to 31.
Correct.
And can you elaborate on that?
Yes, as we continue our research and find more treatable conditions, we're going to push throughout the country for states to actually go ahead and add those to the list. So we've already won the battle in Pennsylvania at 29. We're trying to get it to 31. In fact, even if you go as far back as just 2005, I want to check the year.
2008?
Well, actually, in 2005,
Okay.
when we got to 2008 and 9 and had that bill passed, that led to 90% of
there it is,
babies
yeah.
born in the U.S. live in states that require a screening for at least 21
So
of those 29.
So we're above the
We're above
the 21.
average.
And
Correct.
are there more than 31 that they could test for?
At this point, I'm aware of 31,
31,
but
okay.
we'll keep adding as we go there.
Right, okay.
But even that is double from 2005. So in 6 years, you can see the progress
So the research
we've made.
is incredible. So a lot of
Research is
people
great.
out there volunteer and say, gee, I'd like to help the March of Dimes. I remember the March of Dimes. How do you, well, first of all, how do they volunteer? And secondly, do you have fundraisers? So let's take volunteering. How can people volunteer? How do they get in touch with you?
Okay. The best way is to call the March of Dimes office. It's 833-4941. Anyone in the office can help you, but the events I'll talk about, they can call there and say, I want to help the office, I want to help Scott, help whoever with this event, and we'll get them on a committee, and they can help us with whatever skills they have.
Do you have a website?
Yes, it's marchofdimes.com/PA.
Oh, it is March of Dimes?
/PA, yes,
Okay,
and actually
/PA,
to make sure I have it correct, because
Yeah.
They-
So
we will
there's two ways. There's phone.
Yes.
There's the website, and very easy to access and
Correct.
to do all of this.
and the slash is Pennsylvania. I want to make sure it was spelled out or not. It's marchofdimes.com/Pennsylvania.
Okay,
the full word.
Pennsylvania, okay.
And
Now,
then get to the Erie chapter from there.
the March of Dimes and the whole 39 plus weeks pin is all part of that Healthy Babies
Correct.
Are Worth the Wait
Yes.
campaign. Let's go back to what societal changes made it so that people weren't waiting the 39 or 40 weeks. What my doctor's going on vacation and only Dr. Scott can deliver my baby?
Right. Well, that comes to personal preference. In that case, any doctor for us could have delivered it. My wife really wanted our doctor that's seen
Okay.
her 90% of the time. If we had known about this, maybe we would have thought twice about doing this. Some of it's just education. Some of it really is people's schedules are busy, they're hectic. I don't know for sure. It could be the holidays are coming up and say, hey, it'd be great if the baby was born by Christmas. And
Yeah.
they
So they
think
would
37 is okay.
They would induce labor?
Yeah, they can
at
go to a doctor
37,
and induce the
37
labor at 37 weeks. We've actually, the average length of a baby's delivery term is dropped a week in the last decade.
Really?
It's down from 40 to 39 weeks because of these early inductions. So we've lost a week of development on average.
And there are a lot of multisyllable words that this leads to that are not good multisyllable words in the
Correct.
medical field.
Right.
And that's amazing that's a big number in a short period of time.
It really is, yeah.
To have that done. And as you characterize it, is it misinformation, lack of education, or?
I think it was lack of education and lack of the information because as we find out these things through our research, we really push to get that information out to doctors, the hospitals, the community, the prospective parents.
Right.
So just like we did with the folic acid for preventing neural tube defects and spinal bifida, with surfactant therapy for helping to develop the lungs when they're born too early. As soon as we know about something, we really push to get it out to the country.
Now, let me use myself as a guinea pig. March of Dimes, to me, is maybe because our child-bearing years, or we're grandparent-bearing years now,
Right.
but maybe to the younger people who are having the babies, the March of Dimes is on their radar. But to me, am I missing it? Is it? I mean, there's not a Michael J. Fox for Parkinson's. There's not a Jerry Lewis for MS. there's not a big spokesperson out there, or have I missed that?
Well, no, we're working on that. We've been developing that. So actually this year, Eli Manning of the New York Giants, Super Bowl MVP, is one of our national spokespersons.
Okay.
Sherry Shepard is, Jessica Alba, and I'm forgetting is 5 or 6, but we are, Shaquille O'Neal, I believe, also. So we are actually getting more celebrity sponsors and trying to get the word out there.
We're still here. We haven't gone away.
Yes.
Yeah. When you have a fundraiser, what's the biggest one you have locally that people can participate in?
The biggest one in the spring is March for Babies.
Right.
In fact, we used to do about 6 or 7 a year.
Yeah, I thought so.
And we were we kind of divided the efforts so much that we weren't getting the bang for the buck.
Right.
So really we focused down to 2 big events now. So March for Babies at the end of April, early May, and that's our biggest fundraiser, very successful.
Is that on the peninsula? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's on the peninsula, 6.3 miles. And
rain or shine or snow.
Rain or shine, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the one year we canceled it was when I first came back here. We had the tornado that was sighted or almost coming to the peninsula. We canceled the walk.
That's
right after the start. So outside of tornadoes, we walk. So,
and the other fundraiser you have?
Will be the Chef's Auction, which we do 2 of them. We do the first and second Mondays in November historically. We'll do the Erie one the first Monday of November and Titusville the second Monday.
And the Chef's Auction means?
The Chef's Auction is one of the most fun events I've been at. We basically get 20 to 25 local chefs. Not chains. These are local owned businesses.
Okay.
The chefs come and prepare 1 or 2 or 3 of their signature dishes for the guests. There's 400 to 500 people attend. It's at the Bayfront Convention Center this year, and they get to sample food for an hour and a half and bid on a silent auction. And then after that, we go into a live auction. So the guests get to come and enjoy some excellent food, some wine and some beer. We have some beer and wine tasting, and then go help sponsor the March of Dimes by purchasing packages.
My notes again also indicate that is part of later in the year, like I think you said November. There's a premature awareness month.
Yes.
This is the delicate question because sometimes the baby's coming whether you want it to come or not. You know, it's. But what you're saying with your 39 plus is you really ought to wait that extra 10 days. Even though some people are saying, I can't have this inside of me another hour.
Exactly.
And you're asking me to wait 10 days. Scott, are you nuts?
Exactly. And it's tough.
Are you nuts?
My wife, my family members, all get to that 9th month, and it's tough.
Yeah.
I understand that that's very difficult, but I try to talk to them and say, look at it this way. If that baby comes out early and is sick and is on a ventilator or is in the NICU, or you're constantly bringing them to doctors, is that extra week or 10 days worth the health of the first 7, 8, 9 years that you may be facing? Yeah. So you'll pay more time, spend more time later.
And NICU is?
The neonatal intensive care unit.
Intensive care unit, yeah.
Got that out.
Right, which is when the babies are this big. You know,
correct,
you can fit them in the palm of your hand.
Exactly.
And it could be developmental delays for a long time because of that. Again, Scott Graff, he is with the March of Dimes. We're talking about his pin that he's broadcasting around. I think you'd say, hey, stop in and we can give you one. People can ask you, what does that mean, 39 plus? Why is that important? It means to carry your baby to at least that 39th week, if not the 40th week. And after 41 or 42, you might say, well, maybe it's okay now. Time to have the baby, yes. And here's a good thing. A lot of the massive organizations, in fact, recently it was in the news that people were donating to a veterans association thinking the money was going to veterans, and it was a scam. The people that were collecting the money weren't giving it away. So I'm going to give you my money for the March of Dimes, and this pamphlet I have in front of me showing this adorable baby is going to receive this benefits, and there's something really good here. How much of every dollar goes where?
77 cents. It was 76 cents a couple of years ago. We're up to 77 cents of every dollar goes to research and education, which are critical. We already talked about how critical the education is. A lot of times people will come to me and say, well, a lot of charities do education, that's not really helping. Well, yes, it is. If mothers know to take folic acid in their childbearing years, that's helping their baby. If they know to keep the baby in until 39 or 40 weeks, that education is helping their baby be healthier. So this is one of those charities or nonprofits where education is part of the solution. And I can't say that's the case for everybody, but it is important.
Right. So My opinion is you're really operating under the major radar and doing an incredibly successful job at the same time. You're not out there with the big, things that are occurring, and you are reaching the people you need to reach. Do you actually go into schools, I don't know, high schools, colleges, and say it is imperative that if you're planning on having a family shortly, these are the things that you should consider?
Actually, that would be great. I mean, to speak of the Northwest PA chapters that I'm familiar with, and we go into workplaces, we go into hospitals, we'll go into OB/GYN offices. We try to get schools involved. We get school teams for the walk, and we try to get them education that way and the information when we do that. But we haven't had a big presence to say go into a school meeting to educate high school students that are, young ladies or gentlemen that are about to go into their college years and then proceed on to getting married and become parents. That would be something great we can do. Actually, my son this year just joined me and became the youth board member for Northwest PA. So I'm going to bring that back to him and see if it's something we can work on.
Just a broad general question in the scope of what you do. Are you finding that more babies are being born healthier than in the past? Or is it about the same, or is it dropped down?
Well, the trend over the last 4 years has been positive. It's gone from about, I think it was 12.8% to down to about 12%. But at 12% prematurity, that's still 500,000 babies every year in this country.
That's still a big number.
And we trail 130 countries around the world. We're 130th.
Why are we so bad? Why are we so poor at doing this?
There's a lot of reasons, but the big thing I think is just more the awareness and the education. And again, here we seem to be asking for those inductions. A lot of other countries, they just wait till the baby's ready, which may help. But that's a very difficult question to answer. But what we can focus on is we're 130th. We want to be better. So the goal is by 2020 to get down to 9.6%, which gets us much. I hate to say much more competitive, because the point here is not. It'd be great to be number one, but the point is to have every country be number one, and all of us eliminate or reduce dramatically the percentage of premature births.
Yeah. I think besides the premature births, there is a lot of history associated with the March of Dimes that has perhaps become just kind of slid off the radar. People have forgotten about it, that the money that was donated and the research that has been done, for example, in 1961, my notes say that you developed the PKU test, which of course aids in the prevention of several forms of mental retardation, and that we just take that almost for granted today, I think, that's just been there. And in 1978, you said your research on the #1 prenatal diagnosis of sickle cell anemia.
Correct.
I was not aware that the March of Dimes was that actively involved in it.
I wasn't until I joined the March of Dimes. There's so many things that they have done over the years that we take for granted today that were funded by the research, the dollars that all the volunteers have collected and raised for the March of Dimes. It made such an impact, and you're right, we kind of fly under the radar. There's not a big bass drum there booming out our name.
Let's go back to that. Here in Pennsylvania, we're above the curve of the screening process when your child is born, and yet many states are way below the curve. Is there no legislation to say, or is there no public outcry of this, or why don't they have it? Why are they so down so low?
Well, that's what we're pushing for, is to get that public outcry there. Whenever we push a bill in the state of PA, we email all the volunteers on our email list, people that have walked, anyone that's in the database that's someone that wants information on the March of Dimes, I get them. We send out an email and say, this bill is in the House now in the state of Pennsylvania. If you feel strongly about it, please contact your state representative. And we're trying to do that in multiple states. So I think email and the internet has really helped us to get the message out there and accelerate some of these bills.
Why, though, 21 or 20, some of the states here, rather, why is it that there are so many states that don't have a higher number of screening tests? Is it because they think it costs the state money? Where was their thinking on this?
Yeah, and that one, because
human lives.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer to that. It boggles the mind. It does. When I see that 90% of the babies born in the U.S. live in states that require this screening, we've gotten there in 6 years, a much higher percent. What's holding that last 10% back?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're not going to quit. The March of Dimes nationally, I was at the state board meeting for PA in June, and nationally we're getting this message out. The healthy babies are worth the wait, the 39 plus, all those things.
Mm-hmm. Scott doesn't do this, by the way, for a living. You volunteer, in a sense.
I volunteer, correct.
What do you do from 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or 7 to 7 normally?
Yeah, 7 to 7. I work at Erie Insurance right now for the last almost 8 years.
A prime example of a man who volunteers in this particular position to work with the March of Dimes. So here is an opportunity for you to say, well, I don't know if I have the time. Somehow he manages to find the time to do this, and I'm sure you would be able to also. And again, we're talking about the March of Dimes, and we're talking about the pin he's wearing called 39 plus. To carry that baby of yours, or whomever it is, your grandchildren, your niece, your nephew, your brothers, your sisters, whatever relationship is there, to at least 39 weeks to 40 weeks, the full term.
Correct.
Because it's going to help that child and you have a wonderful, healthy child that is not going to develop illnesses or all sorts of problems caused by that not going to 39 plus term that is being floating around out there, I guess, for the last couple of years, which surprises the heck out of me. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned. I'm not sure about that. Anything else we didn't touch on here?
Actually, we covered so much. I think we really hit on some very key points, which I appreciate you giving us the time to come and get the message out there. And thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Do you have how many children?
One.
We have
son.
2,
right.
And it just seems that we have grandchildren, and they are very healthy. And are very aware of what they should be doing to keep those children healthy. So my broader question here is, once the March of Dimes says your child should be carried 39 plus weeks, even 40, 41 maybe, does the March of Dimes enter into any discussion after that, after post, not prenatal, but post, postpartum? Postpartum.
Exactly, and actually we have a great little chart here that we do, and there's a nice little chart that we gave us at the state board meeting, shows all of the areas where the March of Dimes impacts, and one is the pediatrician's office, and it's the polio vaccine.
Okay.
Right, there are any vaccines that we are funding the research for that help with any type of childhood illness.
Couple minutes left. There's always been a buzz about some of the measles, can't remember the small name. If you give them this shot, people are saying you're actually creating autism in children, and there has been a huge argument about that across the world.
Yes.
This doctor in England, I believe, saying my research was wrong, but boy, it sure lit a flame under people saying I'm not going to get my child. And then the schools were saying your child can't come to school unless they have this vaccination kind of a program. Couple minutes left. What about polio? Is there any fighting polio? Do people say, oh, no polio shot?
Not that I've been made aware of. I haven't heard that. And even on the autism front that you just mentioned, we're funding research in all areas, and all childhood issues, and autism is one that we fund research at doctors looking at that also to see if we can try to help with that. We don't have answers obviously yet, but things are going on, and we have seen also no link between vaccinations and autism and things along those lines. I actually asked that specific question because some people I got to for donations brought that up and said, why should I give to you? Aren't you causing or helping this problem? And don't believe that we are, and I am hoping, I'm very hopeful personally. This is not a March of Dimes national statement, but I was so excited by some of the research I saw at the state board meeting. I'm hoping that we can help with answers to those types of conditions in the near future. I'm hoping we find something.
I'm sure you will. Scott Graff, thank you so much. 39 plus, the March of Dimes. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm Phil Fatica. Until next time, take care.